Hi, I'm Mandy Toretto with Pulled Into Letting Go. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about spiritual warfare and kind of what that can look like. Um, it can manifest in a lot of different ways. I heard someone recently say that they didn't really believe in the spiritual realm and in demons and the physical manifestation of spirits. And as I heard this person say that, I was just thinking to myself, I am so glad that you haven't had to personally deal with that. That you don't have personal knowledge to the extent that I do, and that some of the people close to me have. Excuse me. Because it can go a few different ways. It can be incredibly terrifying, or there are times when it can be comforting, or a mixture of both. Most of the time, I completely understand why when angels manifest themselves in the Bible to humans, like physically to humans, the first thing out of their mouths is, do not fear or do not be afraid. It is a hair-raising, terrifying experience. Always in the beginning, it is a hair-raising, terrifying experience because it's completely out of the norm. I've experienced it many times over the years in many different ways. I remember being very, very young and laying in bed, and it was at the height of the abuse. And I remember seeing demons manifest themselves on my ceiling. And at first, they were manifesting in the form of, this is probably going to make you laugh. I would say don't feel bad about that, especially since I can't hear you. It does sound ridiculous, but keep in mind, I was quite young. I was younger than 5. I was somewhere between 3 and 5. And I know this because of the house where it occurred at. We moved out when I was 5. They manifested themselves in the form of Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street. I was heavy into Sesame Street. And back then we didn't have Elmo, we had Grover. Grover was our big deal back then, as big as Elmo has become in the last 20, 30 years. Anyway, but demons manifested themselves in the form of Oscar the Grouch in his trash can on my ceiling as a child. Would not stop talking to me, threatening me, telling me that they were coming for me, they were going to take me. I did not belong to God, that God didn't want me, that I was a mistake, that they were going to take me away and destroy me, that I was trash. It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. And then there was some sort of, because I was so young, that's the one that I truly, truly, like, sticks in my mind as to how it came about and when. There was some sort of cartoon or show or something that I had watched with my grandma where she took care of me a lot, by the way, growing up. She was my babysitter and my foster mom and all of that. And I hung out with her a lot. And we watched a lot of TV and movies together, especially at nighttime. That was just kind of our thing. And then early in the morning. Anyway, that becomes important here in a minute. So anyway, there was some kind of thing that we had watched where the devil manifested himself as a man all in red who had 2 horns and a long very long tail with like a spiky arrow shape at the end, and he carried a pitchfork. And then combining that with my grandma and I also used to watch Unsolved Mysteries way before I was old enough to even be mature enough to watch that. And there was an episode where the parents were part of some kind of a cult. This was back in like the late 80s, early 90s. Very early 90s. I'd say 90 or 91 even. At the latest, where anyway, they were part of a cult where they would put, I'm going to trigger warning, if you cannot handle child abuse or deleting children from the face of the earth, stop now, because this will trigger you really, really badly. Anyway, they were putting babies into the oven and consuming them. And it was part of a demonic cult where they were sacrificing. Anyway, I don't know why my grandmother allowed me to watch this. I think she was making dinner and I was left in front of the TV kind of thing. Anyway, so combining that little red man with the horns and the spiky tail and the pitchfork and then that story, I had recurring nightmares of that growing up. And I think that that's just normal for kids to manifest, nightmares about stuff like that, trying to process it. But also there were times where I would be outside playing and I would see near an apple tree in our backyard, I would see this red man manifest. It would be like a flash. And he would be grinning at me and then start running after me. And I would run in the house terrified. And so for years, I would just tell my parents, there was a plane overhead and I was scared of that, which is another story for another time. That was kind of true. But, and so I underwent, I would tell psychiatrists about this as I got older, and I got tested for schizophrenia and all kinds of things, where you would have hallucinations due to mental health issues. And I tested negative for every single one. And I was really, really confused by it because of these occurrences that I had where I would see things like wide awake. It would be there. It would be there. And I would see flashes of it sometimes in the ceiling at night, again, as I got older, and I would see it on the walls and in the closet. And then there was a time where demons would manifest as dinosaurs. And again, when I was quite young, and just absolutely terrify me. And then there were times, more times than not, where they would just be a dark, shadowy figure surrounding me in my bed. And there were times where I could physically feel them. I couldn't just hear them. I couldn't just see them. I physically felt them. And it was terrifying. And there were a few times where they would manifest as this gigantic furry creature. I don't even know how to explain it. It was terrifying. It was I don't know, like a wolf, bear, Monsters Incorporated type thing, but not cute in any way. Absolutely terrifying. And a lot of times I think they would often appear in hallways. And in fact, I know they were taunting me after I would be abused. Sexually. My abuser would often take me into the hallway and take off his leather belt, and threaten me with it and stand over me and peer down at me and say, if you ever tell anyone, no one will ever love you again. You know you're a piece of shit for allowing me to do this to you. You know you're worthless. This is all that you're ever going to be good for. Your mother will never love you. No one will ever love you. This is why you were made, was to satisfy me. And I know that's what these big, furry, scary things were representing. Again, I thought I was hallucinating when I would see these things show up. I mean, and I'm not just talking about like asleep or in bed, nearly asleep, or half awake, half asleep. Fully lucid, as I am right now, these things would manifest. And I remember one night, I was 10, 11 years old. Shortly after everything had come out to the police, and my main abuser was in jail for his bullshit short term in the county jail. I remember physically seeing them, hearing them in my room at night, taunting me, torturing me. And so I hid under the blankets, as kids do, because we think blankets are a magical, safe place. And I felt terrified when I first went under. Absolutely terrified. And then I started praying, God, Jesus, help me. If you're real, just help me. Help me. Send somebody, help me. Send your angels. Send something, help me. And I prayed, I'm not sure for how long. And then all of a sudden, I felt something at my feet. And like something had sat at the end of my bed. And I thought, oh, Mom must have let the cat in or something. And so I moved my feet around, thinking I'm going to kick the cat off the bed. There was no cat. I peered out. There was nothing there, but that indent was still in my bed. That physical, the space was physically being taken up by something, but it was not visible. And I felt an amazing peace come over me. And I knew God had sent his angels to watch over me. And the demons were gone. I couldn't see them anymore. I've had many instances like that. When I was bullied really, really, really badly in school, there would be times where I would just silently pray, Jesus, come help me, send your angels. And I would drop my hand down to my side and hold it open like I was waiting for someone to hold my hand. And I felt something grab my hand. It was so comforting. And all of a sudden I felt this just peace, this wave of peace come over me and comfort. You cannot tell me that wasn't God, because I felt it so many times. There's been times where the shower has always been a safe place to me, where I can go and I can cry and I can pray. And so there's been many times where I've been in the shower crying and praying, and I've had this vision come in front of me of this amazing spiritual battle where there's demons and angels fighting. And I've heard him audibly say to me in a quiet but firm, peaceful, calm, loving voice, I'm fighting for you. I'll never stop. And I am winning. I will always win. They can fight as hard as they want to, but you don't belong to them. Many times over the years, I've had that same vision and heard that same message. Hasn't just been in the shower, but many times it has been there. I have prayed many times at the end of my ropes, Jesus, I just need to see you. I need to feel you. And I will close my eyes, and one of the calming images that I've seen, like artistry or whatever on the internet that people make depicting Jesus with children, I'll see that image and I will physically feel him hug me. During one of my suicide attempts where I actually was proclaimed dead for 2 minutes by a nurse, before I was revived, I was in this dark, it didn't feel dark, but everything was black, but it didn't feel dark. I was in this void where I was just being held, like cocooned. And all I felt overwhelmingly was love. And I heard, not yet. I'm not done. Not yet. You can't tell me that wasn't God. You cannot tell me that. No one will ever be able to convince me it wasn't. I still recently see the manifestation of demons sometimes. But then I'll start praying and they run. They are gone almost as fast as they come. They do not like the name of Jesus. They do not like being told that I'm covered in his blood and that they do not belong here. Nothing will make them flee faster. So for those of you who don't believe in the spiritual realm, who don't believe that that spirits can actively, physically manifest themselves, good. I'm glad that you don't have the experiences I've had. I'm glad that you don't have the experiences that some of my friends have had. I have pastors who have told me over the years about their experiences. Very large demons. I had one pastor. I don't have permission to, I haven't asked if I could share this, so I won't share their name or any details that give away who they are to protect their privacy. But I had one pastor tell me that they were physically fighting a demon in their dream, and they woke up and were covered in sweat and scratches that weren't there before they went to sleep. Their spouse corroborated the story that it didn't happen any other way. There's no way. Their spouse was just as surprised at the scratches and them being covered in sweat and being completely exhausted when they woke up. And it was really strange. I wish I could share more, but I'm afraid to. I don't want to give away who without permission. But anyway, I think I'm going to end it here because we're at about 20 minutes and my phone's dying. I'm happy to answer any other questions, but again, you're going to find a lot of the answers in the Bible. And I'm sure if you talk to people, there's more than just me that have stories like this. And we have to be open to hearing one another and understanding that our personal experiences aren't all that there is. Demons, they love to torment people. They love to drive people to the edge. But they hate Jesus. They hate his name. It holds so much power. I promise you it does. As always, I love you. Thank you for listening. And if this has made a difference in any way, would you please let me know in the comments? It's very encouraging. Just a thumbs up, a heart, praying emoji. If you don't want to say anything, that's fine. I love you. But more importantly, God loves you.